Hello and welcome to Calsoft's podcast series. I'm your today's host and my name is Vaishnavi. Today we have Mr. P.S. Kiran Kundurthi with us and topic for today is Demystifying the best use cases of hyperconverged infrastructure. Hi Kiran.
Hi Vaishnavi.
Kiran is Associate Technical Manager in Networking and Cloud Business Unit at Calsoft. He has 12 years of experience in networking and wireless domain. Previously, he worked with Mojo Networks. Hello, Kiran. It's a pleasure to have you with us. Let's quickly jump to the topic.
Sure.
So, to start with, what is exactly the hyperconvergence is?
Yeah. So as per the definition here, it is a IT framework which is unifying the compute, storage, networking, which are essential and which are bread and butter for the data center market and data centers basically. So it is unifying all compute, storage and networking into a single system to reduce the data center footprint and minimizing the complexity and to increase the scalability. So coming to the next, how it is actually being done. So you can see here in this picture, so it is consolidating all the functions of data center into a single resource pool and creating a software abstraction layer, and which is easy to run on commercially off-the-shelf hardware, also called as x86 hardware, we can say that. And this is typically referred as software-defined data center.
Okay. Can you explain us a bit about difference between convergence infrastructure and hyperconvergence infrastructure?
Sure. So before convergence infrastructure, there were traditional infrastructure systems, so in which all the storage, compute, including compute and storage and networking, in addition to that, disaster recovery, file storage, all those things, they're having individual systems with separate hardware and management interfaces. And typically all the systems used to be working in silos. So what people used to have, all the data center IT people, they should have the people who are having the expertise in the individual areas, and they need to manage the system individually. So there is no coordination and there is a high level of risk and complexity involved here, because in the instance of any critical issues, each and every vendor, they used to point each other. So just to resolve this problem, in the time frame of 2009 and 10, there is a kind of association of VMware and Cisco and EMC. They started a new technology called Converged Infrastructure. In this case, they are still using the same hardware system for different purposes for compute, storage and networking. On top of that, they're creating a software layer abstraction. So all these things are integrated, pre-installed, pre-tested, pre-validated, and finally they create one turnkey solution in order to satisfy some given workload or a set of workloads. Further going ahead, this problem is further simplified. So on a simple commercially off-the-shelf or commodity hardware, they're going to provide a hard software abstraction. This is completely software-driven system. So that's how it is making the system more simplified, the complexity is reduced, because in case of converged infrastructure, the complexity and risk have been reduced, but the underlying cost for the hardware still remains. Whereas hyperconverged infrastructure systems, they significantly reduce this risk, complexity as well as the price limit.
That's a very good explanation. What are the different issues that are addressed by HCI systems? Can you explain us?
Sure. So issues can be classified in three ways. Those could be business issues, could be operational issues, and infrastructure issues. Because in case of business issues, there is a high level of burden over IT staff. They can't innovate every time. Okay, so all these things, flexibility is provided, very much provided by HCI systems. Wherever manual configuration is required, that is equally error prone. All those issues have been clarified by HCI systems, and whereas in case of traditional systems, as I mentioned earlier, all this compute, storage and networking, they used to work in silos. We even call them as team islands. The other jargon for that. Now that kind of complexity also has been addressed by HCI systems. And even in terms of resource imbalances, the traditional IT is static. HCI is by design a fractional consumption model. So it actually uses the resources on a very best optimized manner. And in addition to that, it actually allows the equipment to retire, and there is a planned downtime to which the new equipment could be replacing the old equipment very, very flexibly. In such a way, HCI is enabling the IT teams across the world in different companies very easy to manage and address these issues.
Wow, that's great. Can you explain us the architecture of HCI system?
Sure. So, this is the physical schema of HCI systems. It primarily constitutes of three components. One is storage virtualization, compute virtualization, and management. So, coming to the logical schema, the core element, the heart of the system is the software abstraction, which is actually pooling the underlying resources and dynamically allocating them to the applications which are running on virtualization VMs basically, and which is offering the platform as service or infrastructure as service kind of applications. They're enabling all those kind of services. So configuration is based on policies aligned with the applications, eliminating the need for complicated constructs like logical unit numbers and volumes. And in addition to that, advanced management features further reducing the manual tasks and help automate the entire operations. This is the beauty of HCI systems. I hope it is clarifying about the architecture.
Yes. Okay. What all are the HCI's use cases? Can you explain us that?
Sure. So it actually has different use cases. So for the time being, I'm taking few here. So one is like server consolidation, wherever you want to consolidate your data center servers. So HCI works very effectively here. And second thing is hybrid clouds. So this is the most popular technology nowadays. So hybrid clouds are providing a public cloud of experience in your on-premise environments. So with HCI, it is very much efficient to incorporate and to build your hybrid clouds. And the next important use case is the virtual desktop infrastructure, that is VDIs. So VDIs, the desktop infrastructures, definitely they need high amounts of compute resources. So with ease of use, HCI providing such kind of experiences. And AI and edge computing. So I want to take one use case here. In case of HCI can be a collection point and platform to run image recognition or other software to determine its relevance before sending data back to the data center or to the cloud. Manufacturing companies were some of the earliest users of edge computing using programmable logic controllers, also called PLCs, to monitor and control equipment in factories. Now, an HCI cluster can collect millions of data points from the entire production process and do more real-time processing on the production floor itself. Okay, and the most important thing, one of the important use cases is the central site and remote office and branch office kind of deployments, where HCI once again providing its superior support and very flexible support here. So apart from these, HCI also supports supporting tier 1 apps, that is business critical applications demanding highest performance in infrastructure resources can be run on HCI systems, and in such a way it is providing flexibility. And we can run the test and dev workloads using HCI systems. So actually HCI systems, they provide QoS type constructs that allow running these multiple different environments in logically separate environments, but on a single infrastructure without worrying them impacting each other. And it also greatly simplifies, very significantly simplifies the backup and disaster recovery systems.
Wow, that's very great. Can you elaborate about the pros and cons in detail?
Sure. So I think many pros and cons I already mentioned. So obviously I've been saying that multiple times that it is actually simplifying the system management, because there is a single software layer here on top of the single commodity of the shelf servers. In addition to that, HCS systems, they allow the agility. So because it is very fast to deploy the systems, you've been scaling up and scaling down the systems is very fast. In such a way, it is providing the agility. And in addition to that, there is a total reduced amount of total cost of ownership, which is achieved using HCS systems. And ultimately, the main purpose of HCS systems is to reduce the footprint of the data centers.
Can you just tell me that how it is going to improve efficiency and performance in terms of cost?
Yeah, I would love to explain that. So in case of traditional or in converged infrastructures, for example, about 300 VMs, they cost around $5,400. In the same environment, so in HCS systems, so about 400 VMs will cost around $1,800. That much significance will come up in HCI deployments. So HCI systems, in comparison with the traditional or converged infrastructure, occupy 75% of less amount of space, and they consume 75% of less amount of power and cooling. In addition to that, they are very quick. The agility in terms of, so the statistics is something like this. They are as fast as 5 times to the existing traditional and converged infrastructure solutions, because all these systems are using either flash SSDs, basically solid state drives, flash based memories, and they're using virtualization VMs, virtual machines here. And in terms of total cost of ownership, in comparison with converged infrastructure or traditional systems, they are 65% lower cost virtual machines. And also with respect to the efficiency, so on an average in traditional systems, there is only 15% of computation CPU utilization happens. Whereas in HCI, it is even improved till up to 80% of effective usage of compute and storage resources. Due to the tight integration of the components and improved data protection mechanisms, the HCI systems are very much secure. That's what I can say about pros.
Okay. And what about the cons?
Yeah, sure. So there are some dark areas also towards HCI systems. So cost savings are much more for smaller size deployments. So for larger size deployments, cost may shoot up. The other thing is they are vendor lock-in. Yeah, of course. Single vendor provides compute, storage, and networking. So you can't have the mix of different vendors and you can assemble them together, and you can't make the solution out of that. You need to buy the entire whole system from a single vendor. In addition to that, the licensing cost for an unused resources may shoot up, and sometimes wastage of resources may happen during scaling. So there is a slight amount of inflexibility in scaling that you can observe in HCI systems. And power budget and equipment density, you need to have proper calculations before rolling out the HCI deployments. So organization must make sure that the facility should meet the power distribution needs for existing and upcoming resources. Your HCI system can't be an integral part of some other existing converged infrastructure system. Okay.
Thank you so much for this. So what is the current market status of HCI systems?
Okay. So that is the interesting thing here. So in 2004, the market share of HCI systems was around $325 million. Down the line, after 4 years, now it is up to $6.3 billion. It is forecasted by 2023 up to $18 billion. Coming to the market leaders, VMware, it is at the top level, currently having around 45% of its market share in the market, total HCI market. Followed by Nutanix, it is about 28 to 29% of market share. Followed by other vendors like Dell EMC and HP Enterprise and Cisco. Other vendors are there. They have their fair amounts of market shares here. And coming at the Q1 of 2019, it's still going. So it is at the rate of 45% of CAGR on an annual basis for HCM market improvement. So it still goes up, and the market leaders still they continue their domination in the market, as I mentioned in the same order here: VMware, Nutanix, HP, and the rest of the market. I hope for the best.
Okay, just one last question. What kind of expertise does Calsoft possess in the HCI systems engineering?
Sure. So Calsoft has the expertise in automation of the end-to-end workflows, automating the workloads, and engineering expertise in all use cases that I mentioned earlier. And we have the expertise towards building up the workloads using DevOps systems. And we have the engineering expertise in creating and managing the management interface. And moreover, we have the good hands-on on different HCS solutions by different vendors. And we have even expertise towards product engineering, support functions for different production environments of different scales.
That's very great. Thank you so much, Kiran, for your time. It was very interesting session with you. I learned many things today about HCI, the difference between CI and HCI, use cases of HCI, after that pros and cons. It was really very good explanation.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For any further queries, please write to us at marketing@calsoftinc.com and stay tuned for our future podcasts. Thank you.